There's our recording. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rebecca Fuhr. There's still plenty of time to get your questions in for today's live chat. Send them to doc_questions@state.co.us. Remember, I only read your question, never your name, so please keep those questions coming. As always, if you ever want to go back and rewatch any of these chats, I always post the recording on the front page of DocNet under Executive Director Live Chats. That link will be up likely in the morning. And you spoke, we listened. Many of you asked that we offer the live chat on a day other than Tuesday. So beginning October 15th, next month, live chats will be moved to Wednesdays every other month. So 1 month, they'll be on a Tuesday, and then next month, they're going to be on a Wednesday. So thank you for that great suggestion. We're listening to you. Lastly, if you don't hear your question on today's chat, it could be because our directors needed just a little bit more time on a response. But rest assured, I'm still going to ask your question. I just put it at the top of the list for next time. Mr. Stansel, we have a lot of questions today, and we'll also be revealing the winner of the official DOC semi-sesquicentennial t-shirt.
Yes, so this is an exciting chat because there is a lot to talk about. You know, before we get into the questions, and I turn it back over to you, one of the things I want to take a moment to plug is, so some of you may or may not have heard, I think we sent out a message, but not everyone reads them, about cultural assessments. And I want to take a moment to talk about cultural assessments really quickly, because there seems to be this fear or this anxiety causing event when your area is going through a cultural assessment. It's kind of like what Rebecca said when we first started. When I started going around to all the facilities and talking to people, one of the major concerns that I heard was culture. They wanted me to be aware that there's a lot of area for opportunity of growth in the culture area. So when I was in my previous life in the feds, we used to have these events called climate surveys. And basically it was when the regional office or the central office would go out and basically do surveys and talk to staff, talk to incarcerated individuals, and just kind of get a feel for what the climate of that facility was. And then they took that information and they would have feedback for the administration of that institution of, hey, this is some of the concerns, not by name, because that's not important. If you've heard me talk, you've heard me say many times, I don't care where the information comes from. I just want the information so we can address it. Well, that's what this culture assessment is. It's our version of a climate survey. It's our way of knowing where can we improve the culture and what areas. So all areas of the department will be going through culture assessment. So if your area is tagged for a culture assessment, it's not because your area is doing anything wrong. There's a rotation that is going on because, like Rebecca said again, we listen. This was a concern. I love addressing concerns. The only way to address culture change is to know what your baseline is, and that's what these culture assessments are doing. So it's not a one and done. You may get multiple culture assessments, but we will go through all 19 facilities, all 19 parole offices, and any other areas because we are really concerned with how do we improve and how do we make the culture better in the department. So I just want to throw it out there. Sorry for taking up so much time, Rebecca.
No, you're good. Thank you for addressing that, because we do have a question sent in. I think I gave it to HR, but we do have a question about those cultural assessments. So I appreciate that you headed us up on that. Let's start the chat off with a rumor that we have heard about you, Mr. Stansel. There is a rumor that Mr. Stansel is being removed as executive director due to the recent investigations and budget issues. Is this true or false?
Yeah, I started that rumor because I thought I was going to win the $1 billion lottery. But I didn't win the lottery, so now that's why you see me sitting here in front of you. No, just like many other rumors that start in the department, that's a very baseless rumor. There may be some people out there that's wishing that to be true. And for those, I'm sorry, I have not been given any indication that I'm leaving, nor do I intend to leave right now. And as far as the audit, we asked for that audit. We as a department went to OSPB, went to JBC, and we asked for that audit. Now, when you're hearing it on the mic, that's not how it's always presented, because that doesn't sell newspapers. But I can guarantee you, we asked for that audit. We were very aware of where we had some shortcomings. We had identified many of these shortcomings before, but sometimes it takes a neutral party to say the same thing that you're saying in order for people to listen. So there are no intended terminations because of that audit. The things that were identified, we're going to figure out ways of addressing those and getting those involved in what we do in our budget process. And Mitch can probably speak better to this. But one of the things that's key in all of this is the majority of those changes takes funding from the JBC to do. So it's good that they have the results of the audit. You will hear us this year asking for some of those changes that were identified in the audit. But there again, there was a conversation about, well, why are you putting out so long to do it? Well, we have to have the funds to do it. And it's a very complex process that Mitch has talked about multiple times. It's not a decision where I as the ED can say, okay, we're going to adopt every one of those changes and we're going to do them this next cycle. It's not that easy. It doesn't work like that. So just to wrap that all up in one nice big ball, no, I have not been told that I'm going anywhere. I am a government employee that can be fired at will. So I say this now, the governor might be calling me in a few minutes, but I have not gotten any indication that I'm leaving, and nor do I intend to leave right now. So, and I timed it perfectly. I waited till you got it, Rebecca.
Sorry, I was trying to turn my light. My light went off. Sorry, I apologize for that. Little hurry there. I guess it decided not to come on. I'll try in a minute. So let's move on with our Director of Communications in DEIB, Alondra Gonzalez. Good afternoon to you.
Hi.
Hi. What actions are being taken to reduce discrimination against transgender staff and protect gender identities and chosen names?
Thank you, Rebecca. So this is a really important question. And, I want to be clear that the department's committed to providing a safe and respectful workplace for all staff, including those with gender identities and chosen names. So I do have to refer you back to the AR 145005 to make sure that if you are feeling discrimination or harassment, that you please follow up with the outline process and that policy. So it can be addressed appropriately. So again, the AR 145005.
Thank you. What about, so we all changed our DOC signatures, or some of us did recently. Why just gray in the signatures? Is that truly necessary?
Again, a great question. So thank you for following up with that and updating your email signature line. So one of the agency's goals is really to revitalize the image of corrections and really strengthen our image, both internally and externally. So having a consistent and professional brand is really important in that effort. So for a large agency just like ours, branding helps us create some credibility, trust, and ensure that we're presenting a very unified voice in all our communications. So although the email signature line seems small, it's really important because it's so visible, not only publicly, but to our partners and other agencies. So that gray was selected because we need to have a consistent brand across every department and every person that works here. So we always encourage you to have some type of personalization and encourage you to express yourself. But the email signature line is branded in a certain way so we can remain professional and make sure that all our stakeholders recognize that.
Thank you so much. So what do we call incarcerated individuals now? Some people say offender, some people say inmate. Has it changed? What is the name now?
Again, another great question that comes up quite a bit. And our goal is always to use the most inclusive language possible for those in our care and especially around our staff, right? So, however, we have to remain aligned with language that's used statutorily. And if you look at a lot of the statute, it does still use the term offender or inmate. For that reason, you will see us continue to use those two terms, inmate and offender, in a lot of our policies. But that being said, we do make every effort in our day-to-day conversations and communications to use people first and inclusive language. So you'll see some of our communications go from offender to people in our care, those in our custody, under supervision, to be a little bit more inclusive. So again, if you have any more questions regarding this, please reach out to the communications team. We're happy to answer those.
Thank you so much. Let's jump over to our Policy and Legislative Affairs Director, Adrienne Sanchez. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Will there ever be a policy outlining what job responsibilities can change based on your gender ID or identity?
So while it's accurate that at this time we do not have a policy that is specific to employees and related to gender identity, all of our policies related to searches and other processes that are impacted by gender identity are written to comply with PREA standards and with a legal consent decree and provide protections for both staff and incarcerated individuals. But if you have a specific need or concern related to gender identity and your job responsibilities, please work with Human Resources to ensure that your specific needs are addressed.
Thank you so much. If you'll hang out with us, there may be some questions for you later. But for now, we'll jump over to the Director of Prison Operations, Mark Fairbairn. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Rebecca.
Why is it that overtime was abused by custody and control staff, supervisors, by negligently mismanaged budgeting, where shift differential was not included in the projections, and now case management, teachers, and maintenance staff are being pulled in to clean up the mess?
I had to figure out how to work my mute button there. Sorry, Rebecca.
You're good.
So Mr. Stansel alluded to this earlier that some of these recommendations, they're not just dependent on DOC implementation. They're going to take approval from legislation. And we are working on that. We have legislative work group teams that are already working on all these recommendations and looking at them. And with that, we're going to be bringing those updates quarterly to this live chat, as well as a dashboard that's going to be added to DocNet to monitor the progress. So those can be, people can see the progress of those as we move through them.
Thank you. So help us understand, if 2 case managers post to a cell house, 6 officers call off in a shift, you're still in an overtime deficit. Help us understand.
So this is one of the issues that is plaguing us in prisons, and this goes back to the overtime mitigation plan that we brought forward. And this was the way that we found would be the best way to mitigate staffing shortages and overtime, was to use our support staff to support the custody control positions. But to answer the question, those support positions are typically covering positions that are vacant or covering for staff who are out on extended leave, whether that's FMLA or intermittent leave. When we have call-offs, that's going to generate overtime. And then we still have to hold staff over. So they're not considered extra personnel when they're in those positions. They're in there as a needed to cover those positions. And appointing authorities have been given the discretion at each level of their facility to evaluate needs and move through those phases and post those staff as needed.
So how can we hold staff more accountable for calling in sick? It seems like there's 5 or 6 that call off at every shift.
So prison operations has been working with Human Resources to address this. There is sick leave is protected under the Healthy Families and Workplace Act, but we can't hold staff accountable that exhaust all their leave or that don't follow the call-off procedures. So we are working together in prison operations with HR to educate supervisors and appointing authorities on when they can hold those staff accountable that are not utilizing that sick leave appropriately.
Thank you. So is headquarters changing the way food service helps staff? Right now, when you work a double, food service is going to give you a meal. Does that being taken away?
So here is the provision established within AR 214 employee contractor and visitor meal. That hasn't changed in several years. Basically what it says is that staff that work a 12-hour or full 16-hour shift are eligible for a reduced meal at 50% off the rate. So I would ask that these employees specifically speak with their appointing authority or their food service supervisor or manager and work through those plans at each facility.
So you're not saying it's a free meal, you're saying it's 50% of that meal. Is that what you're saying?
That's what the AR states as of right now, is that they're eligible to receive a reduced meal. Now I can tell you, appointing authorities work with staff in each facility to ensure that they either have an opportunity to leave and grab something to eat, or if not, they will let them get a meal. They can pay for it later. We have a wardens meeting on Thursday, and I will talk to the wardens with this. This may be something we can work through to make it better for the staff that are working doubles.
Great. Talk to us about glass food containers. They're a much healthier version than the plastic containers that we bring our food in. Is that something that we can change?
So at this point, glass is still presents a security risk inside facilities. So that's why most of our control center and our security glass is Lexan. It's not true traditional glass. So we don't allow staff to bring glass containers because essentially that becomes something that can be broke and turned into a weapon that is not accounted for. So at this time we're still not allowing glass containers.
Okay. Now for offices that are not in a prison facility, can we get some clarification on the use of smartwatches or Fitbits, even if they do not have phone capability, no texting, nothing? I think there's some confusion on when they're allowed or if they're allowed.
Yeah, and here's what I will say to that is that if you're in an office that is outside of a facility where you're allowed to bring in your personal cell phone, your watch, regardless of cell phone capability, is going to be allowed. If you're allowed to have your personal cell phone, you're going to be allowed to have a watch that has cellular capability. Now, if you do step inside one of our facilities, we are going to make sure that watch does not have cellular capability. We are going to work through with the wardens to ensure we have a consistent policy to allow staff to still have ways to track their fitness with smartwatches, but to ensure that they don't have cellular capability that becomes a safety risk for staff and offenders inside our facilities.
Thank you for clearing that up. I appreciate that. Why are WIG goals now in our PDQs here at TCF? Is this statewide? I thought participating in those was voluntary.
So meeting our goals is everybody's job in this department, from the brand new officer to everyone who's on this call. So essentially how appointing authorities and supervisors ask their staff to participate in meeting those goals can be done in a variety of different ways. And one of those is adding them to performance plans. And that can be done with specific staff that have something that could specifically contribute to one of the wildly important goals, or it could be an overall statement. And it's used by many different appointing authorities and supervisors as an IPO and performance plan. I know the question's at PDQ. So if it is an actual PDQ, I would ask that person reach out to me or somebody in human resources so we can discuss that. But I assume they meant their performance plan. So that's how I address the question.
Thank you. Just like Adrian, if you would hang on, there might be some questions for you at the end. But for now, we're going to jump over to Director Kaylee and talk to our Business Innovation Group. Good afternoon. Hi. Why is it that the state is pushing for the department to avoid using AI platforms and going so far as to ban them from state computers?
So that's actually a very good question. The department's actually very excited about the opportunities that AI may offer to our operations. However, AI is also a rapidly developing new field, and with new technologies come risks. We're working closely with OIT to evaluate solutions and ensure that they're safe and that they can be used responsibly. As you may know, new laws at the state and federal levels are continuing to emerge, and agencies face liability for irresponsible use of AI software. especially tools that may make a decision that should actually be made by a person of responsibility. We'll be announcing some very compelling new programs in the near future. In the meantime, if you have any specific software recommendations or needs, please reach out to myself or OIT to initiate a software review.
Thank you. I'm going to plug DOC Solutions website or email address on this next question. This might be one that might be submitted to them, but I'll let you answer it as well. Is it possible to add DOC regulations to the offender tablets?
Yes, so we actually are in the process of working out logistics and what that process may look like and who will bear the responsibility for making updates. But we do have the platform and capability of putting information like that onto the tablets, and we'll be releasing that in the near future.
That's exciting. That's exciting news. Is it possible to have offenders submit requests for interviews, medical requests, grievances, etc., using the tablets? This would alleviate a great deal of unnecessary paperwork.
Agreed. So we're looking at several ways to expand use of the tablets to accomplish some of these routine tasks. We haven't identified the exact solution yet, but are working through concepts with our tablet vendor.
What is the department's plan for AR review after the Microsoft Word goes away from input from the frontline staff? Their input is valuable to keep them from updated and being reviewed. What will be the review process post Microsoft Word?
So we are, as an agency, eliminating MS Office licenses across the department because they're redundant and costly. The state already pays for the Google Work Suite, which includes docs, sheets, and other tools that are equivalent to MS Office products. Some areas have identified needs for continued Office licenses because of outside collaboration needs or enhanced features, such as some of the functionality in Excel. But most can replace their day-to-day Office use with the Google tools. Specifically around the AR review process and tracking changes. In Google, that's managed through a setting called suggestion mode. And we already use it in many areas across the state for document review. I would assume that this will likely be the mode used for AR review and suggestions in the future.
Thank you. Would it be possible to move the payroll correction process to a digital system? Again, we should plug DOC Solutions. It's on the front page of DocNet. So it'd be a great DOC Solutions question. Agree,
absolutely. And I think this is a great idea. We'll begin looking into the possibility of modernizing forms to be more digital. If you have any other ideas and or suggestions, please forward them to myself or to the suggestions form for review.
Absolutely. And you know, this would not be a live chat without a UKG question. So what is the purpose of UKG telestaff? Can it be considered to only use UKG dimensions and get rid of telestaff? It confuses everybody when we enter timesheets.
All right. Thank you for this question. I love the UKG questions. So telestaff is an automated scheduling and workforce management solution. It's primarily designed for public safety organizations such as police, fire, EMS, and corrections departments. Its main purpose is to help these organizations manage complex employee schedules in a way that's fair, compliant, and efficient. The point of the software is to provide a consistent and centralized tool used by all areas and get away from the multitude of scheduling systems that were previously used across the department and facilities and offices. It also provides staff the ability to electronically request necessary time off and see their schedules in real time. I know that the transition's been a bit of a struggle, but we're seeing facilities successfully use the software across the state. 3 more facilities came online in August, and we've got 3 more coming online next month.
Great. Thank you so much for those answers. I'll ask you to stick around as well. Let's move over to Human Resources. Covering for Michelle Cottingham is our Associate Director of HR, Andrew Ross. Good afternoon to you.
Hey, Rebecca, how you doing?
I'm well. Any updates on the staff who were promoted before October 1st, 2024, before the new compensation plan took effect? Will their pay be reviewed or adjusted?
Thanks, Rebecca, for the question. So unfortunately, at this time, just as you've seen, we just don't have the funding to right size those who were promoted prior to implementation of the compensation plan.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Is there a plan to bring the current staff in lower paying salaries, like $5,000 or less, in line with new hires making standard market standards and living wages?
Thank you. So the Colorado Department of Corrections does acknowledge that previous discussions, including in our live chat forums here, have addressed the agency's objective to optimize our salary concerns. However, as I mentioned earlier, achieving these comprehensive salary adjustments is just currently not possible due to the existing budgetary constraints. The agency wishes to convey that we obviously appreciate everything that everyone does, both for current and long-term employees. And of course, as funding options become available or change in the future, we will continue to explore opportunities to fully align all salaries across all classifications.
Thank you. Has there been any talk about providing free gym memberships to employees?
So yeah, actually, we are proud to offer a range of no cost and low cost fitness and health options for staff. This does include items through the free Cortico app, which has fitness and nutrition modules, virtual fitness classes, and training programs through the state of health. Additionally, there's also discounted access to gyms across Colorado through programs like Active and Fit. If you go on DocNet on the DOC wellness page, you will see that there is a flyer outlining all available fitness and nutrition discounts. Together, these resources provide flexible and accessible ways to stay active, whether at home or in your community.
So I heard that the administration is going to go back to professional dress. Is this true? And if so, will administration get a uniform allowance considering line staff get free uniforms every year?
Thank you for the question. So administration is following the current dress code policy outlined in AR 1450-31, appearance and dress code. If you notice that the policy is not being followed, please discuss this with your supervisor. As for the question on uniform allowance for administration, it is currently not being considered at this time. If there is any additional questions that you might have on this, please contact OHR directly at doc_HR_forms@state.co.us.
Thank you. This person writes, at our facility, we have been without a licensed electrician for 3+ years. During our last live chat, we were told that DOC is competitive when it comes to wages. Can this area of employment with DOC be looked at more closely and reevaluated?
Thank you. So the new Department of Corrections compensation plan, which was effective on October 1st, 2024, bases compensation for new hires and promotions on relevant experience. Although this does represent progress, it is unfortunately unlikely to fully resolve all persistent vacancy issues. You got to consider factors such as geographical location and the cost of living will contribute to these challenges. We do continue to push proactive recruitment efforts, including social media campaigns, community engagement, and commercial advertising certain positions, while certain positions still remain difficult to fill due to salary and other factors. If you personally have any suggestions or methods you haven't seen us try, please share those with us and send them to our HR careers team, and we will definitely look into it.
Great, thanks. Can you expand on the cultural assessments? I know Mr. Stansel talked about it briefly at the beginning, but when will the cultural assessments be scheduled, and how long will they work with staff? How long will they be at each facility? Talk to us about what you know about those cultural assessments.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we are excited to share, our cultural assessments program out there, and it is projected to be completed with all facilities, parole offices, and auxiliary teams by October 1st, 2026. These assessments are conducted by our dedicated culture coach, culture partner, and a culture cadre composed of team members from throughout the state. The team utilizes a structured set of questions, holds interviews with staff. Also, they hold interviews with offenders and community partners to garner firsthand insight as to their lived experiences working with the Colorado Department of Corrections. Please keep in mind that not every staff member nor offender will be interviewed, but rather what they do is they focus on maintaining a diverse and representative sampling, depending on the size of the office or facility. The assessment team will be on the ground from about 3 to 5 days and strive to interact with staff across all shifts and all assigned work locations.
Thank you for that. What steps is headquarters taking to help out facilities who are in desperate need of case management assistance, and what incentives are there to promote?
Again, thank you for the question. So this has been brought up before, and OHR is currently researching this specifically. We are currently still able to fill case manager positions, but we do realize there are challenges with, equal pay for equal work, steps in our compensation plan due to navigating either prior pay practices and the strict guidelines we must adhere to now under these new policies. We realize that a promotion does not automatically result in a salary increase based on the current allowable factors. As previously mentioned, please, when you're filling out your DOC application, please ensure that you are including all relevant information. It is important that your application fully articulates the relevant years of experience. This compensation is determined based on the DOC employment application that you do fill out. So for more information on this, we do offer a video on DOC under Human Resources, under Job Application Tips. This video does include tips and strategies on filling out a DOC application to be the most effective.
Absolutely. Couldn't say that enough. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll see you again toward the end. Let's jump over to parole. Our Assistant Director of Adult Parole, Jessica Bertolis, is covering for Director Wilkes-Gruber today. So good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Hi. With the amount of new officers, the need arises for more availability for an Intel Academy. When is the next one scheduled? And if there isn't one scheduled, how can we request one to be scheduled?
Sure. So there is not currently an Intel Academy scheduled. Designated staff are currently reviewing different locations and anticipated costs to determine when one is feasible. Once a location is finalized, an invitation will be sent to parole and facility staff. In the meantime, if you're interested in becoming an Intel officer, please contact your respective parole manager so we can gauge interest from the Division of Adult Parole staff, participation in a future Intel Academy.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about parolees who abscond. Would it be possible to revoke them for the remainder, whether it's their first time or their 10th time?
Sure, this is a great question. Statutorily, the Colorado Board of Parole has the sole authority to render the final determination concerning the revocation of a parolee.
Why are we using 4 different trackers for parole officers to keep track of work time?
After surveying some staff, there are some inconsistent practices regarding time tracking. The division will be transitioning to UKG in the future, so some of our processes are going to have to be completed in multiple systems. In conjunction with that digital daily activity log, the in-out board allows staff to identify who is in the office quickly, especially in areas where our staff support multiple offices. And because of this question and this concern, we're going to work with the parole managers to establish a more consistent approach moving forward.
Great, that's awesome. Let's jump over to our Inspector General, Danny Lake. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Of course, training and caring for our 4-legged officers is expensive, but has there been a cost analysis done to compare it to the amount of money spent on transportation and medical expenses for the obscene number of illicit drug-related offender hospital trips, which are sometimes fatal?
Thank you for that question. We have not completed a cost analysis for medical transports or expenses for drug use and the appropriate number of canines that we currently have in CDOC. However, we are constantly seeking grants for canine funding. Hopefully in the years to come, we can increase the canines if the budget allows. Canine use is a deterrence as well as and is used during interdictions. However, the current laws do not allow for prosecution on most drugs found inside or in the offender's possession, but that also depends on the amounts that they have. If it's a lesser amount, it is handled COPD administratively. If OIG can improve introduction or distribution, then it's definitely a felony, which we will file with the district attorney's office.
Thank you so much. Let's jump over to Finance and Administration. Mitch Karstens, good afternoon to you, sir.
Hello.
Hi. Can you tell us why don't our admin series get raises?
So this question caught me a little bit off guard. Every series did get raises this year. There was an across the board or COLA increase for all areas. If someone did not receive a COLA increase, please let payroll or HR know, and we will track that down. But there is no series that was left out of the yearly raises.
Thank you. And then let's talk about one big, beautiful bill that President Trump signed into law on July 4th, 2025. There are new tax provisions affecting overtime pay. Specifically, businesses are now required to report qualified overtime compensation separately on Form W-2 and Form 1099. Is this law something that DOC is following? Why or why not?
Yes, we are most certainly following this as it is federal law, so we must do that. So DOC Payroll is working with Central Payroll as well as the Department of Personnel and Administration, or DPA, in the state to bring all of the tax provisions and make sure that we are following that correctly through payroll. Currently, the process for your actual processing of overtime will not look any different. That will look the same for you. Your federal income tax, Medicare tax will continue to be withheld out of overtime as it normally has. The new law then takes and allows for deductions of your qualified overtime that will show up on your tax forms and when you file your taxes. So it is not on the withholding on the front side, but rather the back side when you file your taxes. It will show up on there. Deductions are capped at $12,500 for single filers and $25,000 for married joint filers. There are some other limitations based on total income that you make. I would recommend, if you are concerned about this or would like to talk about this, I would talk to your tax professional or whomever you file your taxes with to make sure that you are ready for that. But it will show up on your W-2s when you complete those in January of 2026 for this year. So you will see those coming out at that time. And we'll do some more communication as we get closer to that. And I think state DPA and state payroll will also be sending out some information. So, but we are following it, and we will make sure that everybody has the information they need.
Great. With the current state of CDOC's budget and the Overtime Mitigation Initiative, do you think it's irresponsible to put out an email with the following statement? CO1 positions start at $4,791 a month with a 7.5 to 20% shift differential pay and compensated overtime.
Yeah, I don't see this as irresponsible. I actually see it as very responsible of the department. We want to continue to fill positions so that we can help mitigate the leaves that everyone is taking, make sure people can take vacation, make sure that we have the coverage that we need and people are working on posts that they need. So we will continue every effort to recruit and retain employees in the department, and that includes posting what the salary is and what those benefits are inside of that.
Thank you. Several staff members requested for the past few months to have their comp time paid out, but this didn't happen. Was this an error or something that came down due to the budget restraints from the last fiscal year?
Yeah, so I think what these individuals are referring to is in UKG. There was issues with not allowing full amount of comp time to be paid out. We've done, and payroll has done an excellent job of going out and redoing some training with supervisors and with staff at some facilities to make sure that they are entering that time correctly so that it is counted correctly and can be paid correctly. We continue to have trainings on that. So on DocNet, there's a training from last December. We will be doing a town hall here in the next week and a half as well, where payroll will be going over the employee's responsibility and the supervisor's responsibility to making sure that time is entered correctly into the systems so that they are paid correctly and show up correctly. If you ever have any questions or you question if something's in there correctly or want somebody to look at that, payroll is a fantastic resource. They are very knowledgeable and very helpful over in payroll and can help you with that. And again, there's going to be some trainings. There is a training on DocNet. There will be another one coming up here in about a week and a half to make sure that that is all entered correctly. So,
thank you. Why are we spending money on hotels, per diem, and gas for a meeting or training that could maybe be done over Google Meets? It just seems like a waste of money.
Yeah, so training is led by each individual area. So they are making the decision of how and why they are completing trainings the way they are. based on the outcomes of each of those trainings, it may look different. So there might be trainings that fit better online, and there might be some that are better to do in person based on the outcomes of those. And we rely on each individual area to do that. We obviously want to continue to balance budget concerns with the outcomes of the training and what we are trying to achieve in each of those trainings.
Thank you. This question has come up before. I'll ask it again. Has consideration been given to implementing an early retirement option for employees with less than 2 years remaining?
No, at this time, there is no conversation about early retirements, mostly because it actually costs the state more money to do early retirements. And we are currently working on our personal services budgets, as well as early retirements work when you are trying to downsize the total overall size of the workforce. And we are not trying to do that. We are trying to maintain and actually gain more employees. So as of right now, we are not looking at that.
Thank you. Has anyone considered how much more it will cost the department to attempt to hire employees to cover the gaps in all facility schedule versus the department paying overtime? Would it be more cost effective for the department to just pay the overtime?
Yeah, so we have looked at this numerous times. It actually is in the long run cheaper for the department to have additional FTE. That's why we continue to work on robust hiring practices with HR and with the facilities to make sure that we can bring in the staffing that we need in order to cover, again, all the posts and schedules and everything that is needed. This is a balance, though. I will say we do not have unlimited FTE, so we want to fill the FTE we have, but we cannot add more additional on top of that without going to the legislature and asking for additional. So it's a continued balance. In there, currently, we still have about 900 open positions in the department that we continue to work on filling to balance that overtime with filling with full-time professional staff.
Thank you. The word furloughs is on a lot of people's mind. Have you heard the word furloughs yet?
So at this point, we have not heard anything about furloughs. As everyone is probably aware and seen in the news, the state continues to work through budget issues, both in this year and next fiscal year. So while the state tries to figure that out, I cannot guarantee anything, but nothing has been asked of us on furloughs yet. Again, not saying it will change, but that is where we are currently.
Thank you. This person heard that the CI shops will be opening back up. When will the shops open for clothing? Will it be offender and staff clothing? Will we be making mattresses and pillows again? And when will all of that start up?
Yeah, so I am happy to report CI has had its best fiscal year ever. Actually, in last fiscal year, CI has really bounced back and done incredible work over the last 2 years to get out of kind of being underneath some debt and closing of shops. If individuals were around during COVID when restructuring was happening and we had to close shops, we have come out the other side of that and had the best fiscal year ever. CI continues to work on opening new shops, so we are very close to signing a final contract with individuals, a company out in Buena Vista in the Shell location that we have out there. As well as the garment shop actually never did close. So our clothing shop at Lyman Correctional Facility has been up and running the entire time. So we make a lot of offender clothes out there, as well as some for staff. We are continuing to work on expanding that catalog. We also do a lot of clothing production for some outside companies. Mattresses are being brought back, and so production for mattresses for the department will start back in CI in about a month from now. We will start making mattresses again and bring those back in-house to employ inmates to be able to do that. So we are excited and continue to look at many opportunities to bring back into DOC with CI.
Thank you so much. Let's jump back up to the Director of Prisons. Why is the Honor Guard going to post colors at the Colorado Rockies games over and over? It's creating overtime issue at their facilities.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. So the Honor Guard, like all of our special teams, is a volunteer team. The sports, they volunteer and do countless hours to support our staff, DOC families, and the community. So anytime that the Honor Guard has a chance to participate in a community event like that and highlight our positive public image, I am going to support that. Anytime they're activated, that must be signed off by me as the Director of Prison. and I will continue to support those activations and highlighting our service to the broader community.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stansel. Sorry, did I cut you off? I apologize. Okay, Mr. Stansel.
I just want to piggyback off that, because another thing that we listened to when we first became, in these roles, is that there was a desire to change the image of the Department of Corrections. And this is one of the ways that we're doing that, because people need to see that we are more than just guards like you see on television. They need to see that we are part of the community. They need to see that we get recognized in events. So anytime we have an opportunity to highlight the positive things that you all are doing out there, we're going to take advantage of that. And I understand, I'm aware that sometimes it causes overtime, it causes a little money, but in order to truly change the image of what we do, it is going to take sacrifices like this. So I just wanted to piggyback off what Mark was saying.
Thank you both. Director Kaylee, why are we going live for UKG payroll if it's not paying staff correctly?
Yeah, so thanks for that question. Honestly, other than the previously identified and corrected issue with comp time payouts that Mitch mentioned, we're not aware of any instances where UKG is miscalculating hours for payment. We have seen instances where supervisors did not correctly enter time, and payroll and the UKG team are actively continuing to train in those scenarios. But those types of issues were present in DCIS as well.
Understood. Thank you. If we're looking at putting ARs on the tablet, should the ARs be converted to an accessible format before that happens?
That would be me, yes. And we are fine-tuning the accessible template for our administrative regulations, and we'll convert the ARs as they go through the review process. Some of you may have already noticed that the facility implementation adjustments have started transitioning to the accessible format. However, once an AR has been made accessible, it will be up to each of us to maintain the accessibility of the document. This means that when revisions to policies are made throughout the year, the revisions will need to maintain all of the accessible features of the template. Or if you happen to draft a new policy for consideration, it will have to be submitted in the accessible format. It's up to every employee to create accessible material. In addition, all AR and IA forms will also need to be modified for accessibility. So if you have a policy for which your area is the OPR and it has forms, please be prepared in the very near future to be working with our policy analyst to revise your forms for accessibility. Accessibility training modules and information related to document accessibility can be found on DocNet. Under the Quick Links heading, select Accessibility Information, or if you happen to have saved them, please refer to the 6-week email series from June of this year.
Thank you, Director. Let's go back to Finance and Administration. Where did the funds from the $25,000 sign-on bonuses for clinical come from?
So the clinical sign-on bonuses were approved by the Joint Budget Committee and the legislature, and then passed through the long bill, which the governor's office signed. So it's through the regular budgetary process that the state has is where those monies were approved from.
Thank you so much. I'm trying to figure on this last question, what they're actually asking. Okay, let me just read the whole question. On the topic of overtime, at least in our facility, the use of resource pool has virtually eliminated third shift overtime. Second shift, due to minimum staffing, rarely does doubles into the third shift, but first shift is averaging multiple 16-hour doubles with a day of no support. I know our other facilities utilize mandatory come in early mark to at least spread the overtime load, where the third shift could come in at 6 p.m. to cover the day shift for some relief. Could this possibly become a universal practice at all of the facilities?
So I'll take that, Rebecca. So one, this seems to be a facility specific question that probably the appointing authority would need to address. We do have an upcoming wardens meeting that I will bring this up to the wardens as part of the consideration. I can tell you from working in 9 different facilities that in some facilities this does work great, and in others it does not. And it takes staff cooperation with the process, but again, that's probably better answered by the appointing authorities. As far as a universal practice, I will bring it up to the wardens, and we will talk through it.
Thank you, Director. We have a very special reveal for us as we end our live chat this afternoon. I just first want to say thank you for all the incredible energy all of you have brought to this t-shirt competition. We launched this t-shirt contest to celebrate our creativity, our pride, and the spirit that connects us all. And wow, did you guys deliver? We had so many bold, clever, inspiring designs submitted, and thousands of votes came in. Every single entry showed the passion and talent across our department, and it was tough to narrow these down to just the top 6. There were so many. But today, it is time for the big reveal. Before I do that, I just want to give the biggest thank you to DOC Executive Employee Council for sponsoring this prize money today. So if you haven't thanked your employee council members this week, I just gave you 500 reasons to do it. Let's get to it. The winner of the official DOC Semi-Sesquicentennial T-shirt design contest is Mr. Stansel. Please stand up. That's right. Parole Officer James Vole, congratulations to you. You just won $500. A sample of this shirt will be headed to facilities across our departments on Thursday, but you can order this t-shirt right now for only $20 for sizes small through extra large. We're going to make ordering super easy. Just see any one of our employee council members at any facility. Remember, this is the official DOC Semi-Sesquicentennial t-shirt, so it's been approved to wear on the 10th of the month, beginning in October through December of 2026. That's 15 months you can wear this shirt. So order yours today. And to everyone who participated, we thank you. Whether you sent in a design, whether you voted, whether you're planning to sport this t-shirt, or you just sent us good vibes, thank you. This contest was a huge success, and the energy you created here is exactly what we'll keep building together. Mr. Stansel, thank you for being our model today. Appreciate that. Back to you to end it today.
Yes, I heard it was a little dark, so what I'll do is I'll get the PIO, take a picture, and we'll post it. Yeah, I'm getting blown up. We didn't see it.
Not to worry. I have one.
Oh, there you go.
Wait, hold on. One sec. It's a little archaic. Let's see. This is the t-shirt. If you voted for this t-shirt, this is the winner. This one says display only. This one will be the one that will be going to our facilities on Thursday.
Yeah, and they did a great job on it. So they just saved me of having to put pictures up. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for participating in this, and thank you for sending in your questions. Hopefully, I see most of the questions got answered today. There's a couple that didn't get asked that we will address next week. But there again, this is just to reiterate how important your voice is to this exec team. We have tried to figure out as many avenues for you all to communicate with us so we can actually know what's going on in the facilities. And I encourage you, and I really appreciate those that take the time to ask the questions. We know that you may not always get the answer that you want. And we also know that there's something that feel, if I ask it multiple times, maybe I'll get a different answer. The thing I want to say about that is we give you the open, honest answer at first. And what you're finding is a lot of our answers are driven by budget. We don't enjoy saying that, but it is reality. It's the truth. There are way more things that we would love to do. And if we had control of our own budget and determine how much we got in our budget, there are a lot more things we could do to right pay disparities, to attract more staff, to make sure everyone there's equal pay. Well, there's all kinds of things that we would do. But like we said many times before, We don't set our own budget, and we have to work within the confines of the budget that they give us. We're in a tough year this year. We're going to be in a tough year next year. If you haven't been following, there was some recent changes that caused the state of Colorado as a whole to have to do a special session to address some budgetary concerns. I'm happy to say that we didn't get too impacted by it. We did lose some funds, but not as bad as it could have been, and it's not as bad as some other departments. So all the conversations we're having with the Gov's office and we're having with JBC, they're listening because they are starting to recognize that the DOC doesn't have any extra money just floating around for them to take back from us. So when they're starting to do the offsets and things like that, they're recognizing that we are legitimately in a very tight situation. And they're being as kind to us as they possibly can. So just in closing, as I always say, thank you for everything that you do. We recognize that, we don't always know and get to see all of the hard work that you all put in, because you put it in before it ever gets, to anybody else's level. And I appreciate that. And I wish there was a way that I could, incentivize every single one of you more than we're already trying to do. But unfortunately, like I just said, the budget won't allow us to do that. So thank you for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you all at the next one.
October 15th. Thank you so much. Have a great day.